Okay, so today we continue with our class Halachos of Brochos, and today's class is number 37. We start with Sefer Shmiras Haloshon. Could you please put us on mute now, unless you need to talk, please? Thank you. So the topic is a loser of two worlds. Okay. Leib, scoffer, is liable to suffer retribution in this world and for his sinful behavior. As the Talmud states in Avodah Zarah 18b, whoever scoffs will have affliction visited upon him, as it is written. And now do not scoff, lest your retribution intensify. But it says in Yeshayahu 28:22. So before we start, we already started. So the scoffer, that person who needs find everything funny, like who debates people, could you please put us on mute? If you're not talking, please. Said the Rabbi to the rabbis, I ask you not to engage in scoffing, so that affliction not to come upon you. The Talmud further states that scoffing causes one to be denied his material needs. Okay. So what we're saying now, that the scoffers are going to suffer in two places, in this world and the world to come. Right. So as it says, the rabbis said the Rabbi to rabbis, I ask you not to engage in scoffing, so that affliction not come upon you. The Talmud further states that scoffing causes one to be denied his material needs. Okay, no more, no less, right? So the person is like to be funny, and guess what? All the material needs going to be denied him. Scoffing brings scoffers bring punishment upon the entire world, as the Talmud states. Whoever scoffs brings distraction to the world. So it's not that somebody's being clever and funny. So this person brings distraction to the world. It is forbidden even to sit in the company of scoffers, as it is written, praiseworthy is the man who sat not in a company of scoffers. So if you know there is a company like that, they might be your friends, relatives from old days. So it's absolutely forbidden to go and sit in their company. The Vilna Gaon writes in his famous letter, to the verse, all men toil is for his mouth. It's from Keheles 6:6. The sages comment in Medrash Keheles that all of the mitzvahs of the Torah study of a person are not sufficient to negate that which he utters sinfully with his mouth. They further state, witchcraft should man pursue in this world? He should strive to emulate a mute and avoid talk, as Hulin 89a states, and press his lips together like two millstones, which grind against one another. So Vilna Gaon is very straightforward, and actually Rabbi Reuven Shlita, he has the whole series. I'm not sure if he's finished. He finished with it's Geras Hagra. So Vilna Gaon says, he actually quotes from Keheles. Right. So a person can lose all his Torah learning. Why? Because of this stupidity that he's uttering with his mouth. Right. And it says, well, what craft we should pursue in this world? As a mute. Be mute. Don't talk. Of course, the Torah you can talk as much as you want, Baruch Hashem, but all other things try to minimize as much as possible. Therefore, one must distance oneself from scoffers, so that he will not learn from their ways. Right? As we know, if you have some of these so-called friends like that, you're going to get affected, guaranteed. Okay. Rather, he should sit where the Torah is being spoken. Praiseworthy will he be in this world and in the world to come. Right? So try to attach yourself to Talmidei Chachamim, try to listen to lectures, to read books, and get yourself in place in the world to come. Okay, so we stop here. So we continue without topic, and our topic is, let me see 1 second. Of course, we didn't finish. So, so it's chapter 17 in this book, and the topic was the Torah obligation of benching. Benching is saying Birkas Hamazon. Okay, so and we're in section C, and it says the topic is who is included in Torah obligation. Number 1, satiated. The Torah connects benching with being satiated. As it says, right, and you shall eat and you shall be satiated and you shall bless, make him bracha. Okay. This implies that in a view of most Rishonim, that the Torah Midaraisa commandment to bench only applied if one is satiated. Okay. So, okay, so let's see, let's continue. Where the person eats a meal and is not satiated, he is required to bench only the Rabbanan, mid the Rabbanan. Okay, so let's try to understand. So since the Torah says you shall eat and you will be satiated, and you shall be satiated, you're going to bless Hashem your God, right? So from here we learn that only if you ate enough, right, for satiation. Of course, it depends on the person, right? Somebody, the bigger guy would need to eat more. The child, no, not the child, let's say 12 years old, right, would need to eat less, right, for satiation. Right, so it's subjective. So if you satiated from your meal, and of course there is minimum amount of bread, as we're going to speak, and satiation can come from other foods as well. So it does not have to come only from bread, okay? Because it's he's saying thanks for the whole meal, okay? And let's say if a person ate this kizayis of bread, and we say kizayis approximately 1 ounce, it's approximately 28 grams, right? So he's obligated to eat, to make the blessing. And if he's not satiated, most likely the person is not going to be satiated from such a small piece, right? So then obligation to say Birkas Hamazon will be rabbinical. I mean, it does not change under normal circumstances. Nothing changes. I mean, you have to say it anyway. Okay. So let's say there is a commentary. Being satiated does not mean being full, as to be unable to eat another morsel. Right? I mean, of course, there is always room for more, right? Which is also unhealthy. Rather, it means that being as full as one normally is when he finished his meal. Okay, so actually we learned it in the Rambam. So he said that what is the proper way of eating? So Rambam said it's proper way of eating is 2/3, right? To fill up your stomach to 2/3. So it's being healthy. So if person ate enough as he usually does, right? So it's already he's considered to be full. Satiation, meaning full, like satiated. Okay. Satiation is defined in halacha, varies from person to person, as we understand. I mean, there is big people and small people. Person who are heavy, persons who are heavy eaters are not considered satiated with until they reach the level of fullness to which they are accustomed, right? Moderate eaters are considered satiated when they reach the level of satiation to which they are accustomed. So as we said, from person to person. So it is biblical. Now we're going to rabbinical, right? But if person ate this kizayis and it's not satiated, okay, there is no problem. Still have to say Birkas Hamazon. Commentary. The consideration that benching is a Torah origin, midaraisa, bears the halachic implication, as discussed in section E of this chapter. So we're going to get to it. We're not there. Okay. Next one is women. Some Rishonim rule the Torah commandment of benching applies to women as well. Rishonim. Other Rishonim are of the view that although women are definitely required to bench, the obligation is not midaraisa. Okay, so let's read the commentary and we're going to explain. Some Rishonim reasoned as follows: the Torah commandment us to bench on a good land which He, meaning Hashem, gave us. This statement cannot be applied to women who do not have inheritance, except where there is no surviving sons, and are thus no recipients of the land. Okay. So we have in our Bircas Amazon, one of the blessings is for land, for beautiful land that Hashem gave us, right? And as we know, when we were in the desert and when they start apportioning the land, right, before we enter to the land of Israel, so women did not get any portions. Why? Because they would go on they would receive, not they, but the husbands would receive, or their fathers would receive, and so they're going to eat from that portion of land, right, or their brothers. So this Rishonim said, so how can women make a blessing for the land if they did not receive any land? So that's why, I mean, so according to this opinion of Rishonim, they say that women have to bench, but obligation is rabbinical. Okay, and then we see it's going to play a role only if a person forgets whether or not he did or did not say the blessing. Next one, 3, children. Oh, one second, we didn't finish the commentary. Others reason that since the benching must include a reference having a bris milah and learning Torah, which are not applicable to women, the commandment cannot be applied to women. Okay. Regarding the obligation, Kohanim, Levites, and Gerim, see the Hebrew note. Okay, so that's a different story. Okay, so let's see. Children. The Torah obligation to bench does not apply to boys under the age of 13 and girls under the age of 12. Okay. So what does it mean? That they have to bench anyway, right? But the thing is, so commentaries say, regarding children being motzi adults. So motzi adults meaning that since they're not obligated to do mitzvahs on the same level, right? So they cannot include adults in their blessing. So they can include other children, but not adults, right? So continue. Parents, however, are obligated to teach their children to bench at whatever age the child is capable to understand the concept of benching. Okay, so we have this mitzvah of chinuch, and it starts as I mean, it depends on the child, on the child's development, but approximately, I would say 5 years old, 5, 6 years old. It depends, right? So since that age, right, some are more mature, you can start from 4, right? So we start teach them the mitzvahs, and if they're capable, so yeah, absolutely, they have to say Birkat Hamazon. And children have a good memory, of course, so they can memorize. It's very interesting. They can sing like a song. Okay, but you have to, of course, explain to them what does it mean and how to say it and all of the halachas. A child should first be taught to recite the first bracha of the Bentching, Hazon, that's for blessing. After he has mastered reciting the entire first bracha, he should be taught to recite the entire second bracha, not there, right? And the third bracha, Rachem, and so on, until he can master reciting the entire text. So, I mean, that applies to everybody. So we don't start like from everything in the same time, right? We start with whatever the student can do, right? He can do one blessing, so start with one blessing. Okay. Next one. Any questions on what we said?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So I have 2 cases here. What happens if we eat a second kasait or more after 3 minutes? This would be the first case, and the case B, what happens if we eat another kasait or more after 9 minutes?
Okay, I mean it's still the same meal. It's still the same meal. So the meal.
I mean not to say several brachot rishona in
No.
Why ask, please?
I'm checking. I'm not sure did we cover it. I'm not sure if we covered it, did not cover it. Maybe it's coming up. But let me tell you the way it works. So your eating session started whenever you started. It continues until you said that's it. I'm done. I finished eating. So technically, it could be like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours later. So if you sit around the table, so you did not finish eating, so that's your eating session continues. You understand? So it's you can eat whatever you want, and it's going to be covered with if you ate kibeitza meaning double kizais in 9 minutes, in a period of 9 minutes. You understand? So in order to the other food, all of the food to be covered, you have to eat 2 kizaisim in a period of 9 minutes. You understand? If you only ate 1 kizais, meaning 28 grams, so it covers only bread. But if you want soup to be covered, other things to be covered, so you have to eat double of that. Otherwise, if you, for example, if you want to eat only small piece, whatever that's it. I don't want to eat any more bread for whatever reason, right? So you would need to make a separate blessing all other foods.
So my worry is if it is a transgression to make several in
yes, absolutely.
15
absolutely.
minutes, for example, at like 3 or 4 bracha rishona or over bread, it will be a transgression.
Absolutely, it's a biblical transgression. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. Not a good be in that situation. Absolutely not. So we try to be careful. We say only one blessing, and that's it. We go in off with that blessing. Okay, so continued place. So any other questions from other people? Okay, no problem. Deep place. Since Bentching in the Torah obligation, Chazal instituted stringent requirements with regard to its recital. One of these requirements is that Birkas Hamazon must be set in a place where one ate. Okay, so it's very interesting. So technically, if you ate here, in most of the cases, you're not allowed to go anywhere and say and plan to say the blessing somewhere else. If you start eating in your house and you plan to go to your neighbor's house and continue meal, that's a different story, right? You're allowed to do that. But in all other cases, so you're obligated to bench to say Birkas Hamazon before you leave that place. So let's see. This rule that one should not leave where he ate without first making a bracha achrona applies to all bracha achrona, right? I mean brachas achrona. So we actually spoke about it in previous chapters, right? So don't leave. Make sure that you say blessing before you leave. Even barei nefashos, right? So not only Birkas Hamazon, barei nefashos, just to remind us, it's a blessing after most of the meal, or after like beverages, fish, meat, all of these things, right? Continue. This is because if one were to live without making appropriate bracha achrona, right? Bracha achrona, I mean the angel blessing, there is a possibility that he might forget to recite it. Okay, as simple as it is. So people do forget many things. There is also a possibility that he might be delayed beyond the time limit, within which bracha achrona may be said. This rule discussed more in chapter 9, section G. Okay, so there is a special set time in which you must say the after blessing. So meaning one of the tools to measure this, right, would be, so if you're already hungry. So if, for example, if you ate snack, right, and it's let's say for snack they give us like 30 minutes. So you ate apple, you ate banana, so you have 30 minutes to say the blessing. I mean, it's proper to say right away, not go anywhere. But in case, person received a phone call, he forgot, he was distracted. Okay, so 30 minutes. So, but after 30 minutes, if person is hungry, they say that's too late. You understand? And Birkas Hamazon, it depends how much he ate. If he ate just a little, that's it. It's after 72 minutes. In many cases, it's too late, right? But if he ate a lot and I don't know, overate even, right? So maybe 2 hours is still the food is still digesting. Continue. There is a notable difference, however, between the requirement to recite Birkas Hamazon in a location when he ate and the requirement to say Barei Nefashos in a location where he ate. Okay, so what is the difference? So Barei Nefashos is like general blessing, and Birkas Hamazon is only after the breath. If one left without reciting Barei Nefashos, he is not required to return to where he ate. He may recite Barei Nefashos whenever he may be in it, at the time that he remembers. Okay, so with all blessing, you ate banana, you went outside, you went to your car, I don't know, wherever you went, so you can say the blessing as soon as you remember. There is no problem whatsoever. I mean, it's not the problem. The only problem, it's not proper. The proper way, the proper conduct is you finish it and you say the blessing. Okay, but if he forgot after the fact, he's not obligated to return, right? But it's not true about bread, if he ate bread or mizonos, right, as we said. With regard to Birkas, Birkas Hamazon, however, he may not recite in the second location. Rather, he must return to the place where he ate. Right? B'diavad is after the fact. In certain instances, one may bench in a second location. See paragraph DA. So we're going to get to it. Okay, so at this point, we have to understand that we must say Birkas Hamazon in the place where we ate, right? But under certain circumstances, I don't know, it was bad smell, I don't know, like he had to go, must go, I don't know, whatever, emergency. Okay, so in such situation, or he went away too far. Let's say he's driving the car, he drove too fast, so now if he's going to start returning, the time for saying Birkas Hamazon going to, so like it's not going to work very well for him. All right, so under these circumstances, we allow him not to return, but like straightforward way, the right way is to say Birkat Hamazon in a place where he ate or return. Okay, so number one, definition. The poskim defined the place where he ate to mean any place within a room in which he ate. For example, at the wedding, if one ate his meal with his friends sitting at one side of the large ballroom, and subsequently wishes to bench with another group of friends seated in the opposite end of the ballroom, he may do so. Meaning, why? Because it's all same room. He need not to return to the specific seat or the table at which he ate in order to bench. So it's very straightforward. It's a huge ballroom, so a lot of people, and let's say, of course, it's proper to join with other men, right, to say the blessing, right, as a group of 3 men or 10 men, right? And let's say there is some men from that were sitting at his table. They left early. Let's say possible, so he can go to another table and join other men. Okay, no problem. If one ate his meal outside of the building, for example, in an unenclosed yard or park, he must bench where he ate. So now is like he has to go to that specific place. If for some reason he needs to move, he may do so provided that he remains within the 4 amos, approximately 7 feet, in the place where he ate. Okay. So if it's one room, that's understandable. If he ate outside, and it's outside meaning it's not surrounded by a fence, right? If it's surrounded by the fence completely, it's like one area. But here it's not like one area, right? It's not. If it's all open place, so he must go and eat in say Bircas comes out exactly in the same place where he was eating, or as I say, 4 amos, right? 4 amos is our personal space, which is approximately 7 feet, a little more than 7 feet, and in the meters is like 1 meter 80 centimeters, approximately, well, less than 2 meters. Continue. Number 2, had intention to finish eating someplace else. Okay, so now the further one was definition, right? So, and as I said, it's possible that at the beginning of the meal, person has the intention to go somewhere else. Okay, let's see. If one made hamotzi on a bread, he had specific intention when one made hamotzi on a bread, had a specific intention to eat a small piece of bread in a second location. He made lachatchila. Lachatchila means in the beginning, right? Bench in a second location, even if he does not plan to eat any other food there. Nevertheless, as long as he plans to have a piece of bread there, he may bench in that location. Okay, so it's very straightforward. So he started eating, let's say he started eating in a synagogue, right? They didn't make kiddush, and he started eating in a synagogue, and now he's planning to go home and continue eating at home with his family, right? With her family, right? So if they had it like this in the outset, this intention, no problem. They can go home and continue eating. Okay, they give a little different example. So here we go. For example, one who wishes to eat home and join Sheva brachas for benching may do so, provided that he has specific intention when he make hamotzi at home to eat some bread at the Sheva brachas. So Sheva brachas, 7 blessings for a newlyweds, right? So he wants to join them. It's a big blessing and make the newlyweds happy, especially Kala, right? Okay, so he eats at home and plan to bench and say all these 7 blessings for the newlyweds in their house or in the friend's house, doesn't matter, right? So that's a good example. Next one, number 3, place not suitable for benching. If the place where one ate is not suitable for benching, one may leave the room to bench, but should position himself in such a way that he can still see the place where he ate. So the second best option, right? Even if he went to another place, another room to say Birchas Hamazon, it's the most preferable that he can see the place, at least not that place, but at least part of the room where he was when he was eating. For example, one ate meal in a dining room, a bathroom overflowed, filling the dining room with the odor of waste substances, right? Since one is not permitted to make bracha in a place where which contains bad and odor from the waste substances, he may go to another room to bench, provided he can see the dining room through the open door or window. Okay, or he can go outside, right? He's outside, she's outside, and they can see the place where they ate. But of course, they cannot. We're not allowed to pray or say any blessings or read Torah in a place where it smells bad. X commentary. It is not sufficient to be in out of range of odor. It's not, okay? One must be at least 7 feet away from the point where the order ends. See chapter 1, section D1. Okay, so that's halacha is actually applies to all of the blessings, right? To the Shema, to all of the prayers, to everything. When something smells bad in a room, right, you have to distance yourself to the to the area where the smell ends, and from that point you have to separate another 4 amos, which is, they say, 7.5 feet, right? Less than 2 meters. Okay, so that's halacha for all of the situations. Right, so we go into another room. Okay, provided so that he can see the dining room through the open window or door. That's the thing. Okay, continue. Number 4, B'diavad after the fact. Okay, he did not study with us. He did not listen. He's not okay. He's just not. So, if one inadvertently left the place where he ate, where he had eaten, and then remember that he did not bench, he should do as follows. Okay, so before we continue, there is one commentary that we should read, and it says, if one inadvertently, so inadvertently meaning that was not his plan. So let's see. So commentary says, however, if he deliberately left the place where he had eaten, he should do one of the following. If the bread is available in second location, he may eat small piece of bread and bench in that location. Right? So if he left on purpose, so it's only after the fact. Next one. If he does not have bread, he must return to original location, even if it is miles away. Right? That's how it is important. And it is very inconvenient for him to return, provided he will not exceed the time limit within which it is permitted to bench. He may not bench in a second location. So let's see. Okay, so what does it mean? So if person decides, no, I'm going to eat here, and I'm going to bench in another place. So I would say, just say, no, it's not allowed to do that. So if he has more bread in another location or with him, there is no problem. He can eat another bread, right? Another piece of bread, and bench in a second location, no problem. Or they say he must return. Doesn't matter how far he is. I mean, it does matter. So the only discount that our sages give us, why? If he going to come to the place where he ate too late, the time elapsed that allowed him to bench. It's like, let's say it would take him, I don't know, 1.5 hours to get back. So it's too much, right? It's not too much because of his burden. It's too much because the time to bench might pass. Okay. So in this case, we would allow him to bench in another place, but don't do it. Right? But in our case that we discuss here, it's actually the person did not plan for that. It was emergency or just forgot. Okay, so let's see one more time the whole sentence. If one inadvertently left the place where he had eaten, and then remember that he did not bench, he should do as follows. If the bread is available in a second location, he should eat small piece of bread. He may eat less than kizayis. So kizayis is 28 grams, so less than kizayis. Okay, half a kizayis. Okay, it doesn't matter how much, right? And bench in that location. So just eat and bench in the next location. Okay, next option. If he does not have bread, it is preferable to return to the location where he ate. So you see, it does not say must. It says preferable. Why? Because he did not do it on purpose. Even if it's miles away, provided he will not exceed the time limit within which it is permitted to bench. So that's so. I think this part is to show how serious our sages were about us benching in the right place. Right place meaning in the place where we, as we said before, it's a blessing from the Torah directly. All other blessings, it's rabbinical, but this one is from the Torah. That's why we treat it very stringently. So next scenario, if it is inconvenient for him to return to original location, he may bench in a second location. Okay, any questions on what we said?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This about this location, but isn't the eating session terminated if we go to another house?
No, they say if it's going to terminate it, so you must bench wherever you are, because there's no point for you to return if you would not be able to bench, right? It's like useless. Why would you do that?
But I mean, when we cross the main door of our house to the exterior, isn't this eating session terminated?
When say it again, when we what?
When we go to the sidewalk, is it over?
No, not okay. No, not in this case. You're right. It's a good question. With all other blessings, yes, you're right. But the exception is mizoinus, food like cookies and cakes and bread. So since why did it is not terminated? It's a good question. So it is not terminated because we are obligated to go back. We're obligated to go back, and that's why I say, okay, the person went outside, but he expected to come back. So that's why this eating session is not terminated.
And what if the person is not returning for 24 hours, for example?
No, forget about for 24 hours. Even 2 hours, it's too much. That's it. He's out. It's too late to say Birkas Hamazon. Period. So, but we said if it would take him like 2 hours, 1.5 hours to come back, right? So we said what did we say? So let him say Birkas Hamazon in the place where he is.
Is there any compensatory prayer for not saying Birkat Hamazon?
No. It's a time related prayer.
So it will be a mitzvah?
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's like when the eating session ends, that's it. Okay, so continue. Any other questions from other people? Okay, no problem. So just so you know, if you want to ask a question, just unmute yourself and you can ask. Okay, so section E, doubts. This section is about what should be done if one is in doubt whether or not he's obligated to bench, right? So, of course, there are several cases, as we can understand. He's not sure if he ate enough, or he's not sure if time passed. Okay. So, rule. Okay. The rule to determine what to do when one is in doubt is, if one obligated to bench was midaraisa, we adopt the stringent position. There is risk considered that he did not bench and required him to recite the entire Birkas Hamazon. So let's see the commentary, and we're going to explain. Or let's explain this part, right? So our approach is with all other blessings. So if we're not sure we said it or not, we don't say it. There are different solutions, but this specific blessing we do not say after that specific food. Maybe we eat another food and make sure and keep in mind that if we did not say blessing, it should original blessing should also cover that food. Okay, but in a normal case scenario, so we do not say the blessings, right? If you forgot, we said it after blessing or not. But here, if we had a blessing, and our obligation to bench is midaraisa. So what does it mean midaraisa? Midaraisa means that a person satiated. That's how we started today, right? If he ate enough for satiation, so now his obligation is from the Torah, right? In this case, in the case of the doubt, the person must bench. Must bench means to say Birkas Hamazon. Note. In cases where one is required to bench again, one should do so only if he had exceeded the time, if he not exceeded the time limit within which he may bench. When a person finishes, so I mean, if the time passed, like you said, 24 hours, maybe it's too much, but even 2 hours passed, that's it. He's, I mean, if he did not eat so much, so he's not allowed to bench, of course, right? So we're talking about if he does not remember, I guess, if he said it or not. When a person finishes eating, he has a limited amount of time within each to bench. See chapter 10. After that amount of time elapses, it can no longer bench. So one of the things, right, to understand that if he already hungry, right? So that means that time passed. Continue. If the obligation to bench was midrabanan, meaning that even initially after he finished it, he was not satiated, right? We adopt the lenient position. We consider that he is not obligated to bench and not require him to bench. Commentary. 1 second. So we adopt lenient position. Commentary. Since the obligation is midrabanan, the principle sofek brachal lechokel is applied. Meaning, if it's a biblical mitzvah, so it's a general approach. If it's biblical mitzvah, you have doubt, we go into stringent way, meaning we say blessed, and whatever stringent way in that situation. But if we have a doubt and it's rabbinical, so we go leniently and we don't say the blessing. So that's a general approach. Of course, there are exceptions, but in most cases, that's what it is. Okay, so let's read this sentence one more time, and we continue with the explanation. So one more time, the whole sentence. If one is the obligation to bench, was midrabanan, right? So meaning rabbinical. We adopt lenient position. So we just commented. We consider that he is not obligated to bench and do not require him to bench. Do not require commentary. He is not required and also not permitted to bench. So it's not only his preference. No, he's not permitted to bench. Okay, see chapter 14, section B2, where we discuss that one may not arbitrarily decide and to make new bracha just in case he needs it. So we spoke about it. So just in case we don't make the blessing, because why is that? Because it's a biblical commandment not to carry Hashem's name in vain, not to use it freely, right? Just because he decided maybe, right? So continue. Even in cases where one may adopt the lenient position, the Paskim advised that a Yerei Shamayim should try to bypass the doubtful situation by employing one of the suggestions discussed below in section F. So we're going to get to section. So, but okay. So even though according to this according to this halacha, right, that he is not obligated to bench, they say. Come to say, if this person is God-fearing person, he's not going to just let it go and say, okay, I'm not sure, and that's it, right? I'm not going to bench. No. So there are other ways that we can employ. We're going to get to it, but from what we learned before, it's one of the way would be ask somebody else who ate, right, and on the same level of requirement. So include him in the Birkas Hamazon. Right, so if he was not satiated, so a woman can include a man, right? Because they're on the same level of requirement, which is rabbinical. All right, but if he was satiated, so he cannot ask her to include him. That's the thing. Okay. So continue. Any questions on what we said? Okay, continue then. So we just discussed the rules. Okay, problem. So I mean, in all of this practical application, right? Problem. I cannot remember if he benched. One ate bread, and afterwards I cannot remember whether or not he benched. Okay, so I mean, I don't know, maybe the person is distressed or he's sick. I mean, the different situation can be. Right? It's very, very sad if person ate bread and the full meal and cannot remember if he said Birkas Hamazon. That's very sad. Okay, so situation A, right, was satiated. When one eats bread and is satiated, satiated, is obligated to bench midaraisa. Okay, so he's if he is satiated, so his obligation is biblical. Therefore, if he is unsure as to whether or not he must bench, we adopt the stringent position and require him to bench. Right, so very straightforward. Right, if he is not sure, we require to bench, so we adopt stringent position. So as we said before, and we say, okay, you have to bench. Commentary, provided that he had not exceeded the time limit within which one to bench. See footnote Z. Okay, we're going to get to Z. Okay, about this time limit. So for now, the straightforward way, let's say the straightforward understanding, he did not exceed the time limit, so he must say Birkas Hamazon if he does not remember. Note, if in the middle of benching, he reminds himself that he already benched, he should stop immediately, even in the middle of bracha. Right? I mean, person, okay, so I probably did not say, and because of the doubt, he starts saying Birkas Hamazon. So now remember that for sure he said it. So just stop wherever you are. Commentary. As soon as he realizes that this benching is invalid, he should recite Baruch Shem quote Malchuso Lo Enovet. Right? It's like when well, why would we say that? Because in this extra unnecessary blessing, he brought that was said in vain. He brought the honor of Hashem's name down. So now he has to restore his honor. Continue. Although he's obligated to bench, if it is possible for him to bypass the uncertainty by employing one of the transgressions or suggestions, discussed in section F of this chapter, he should do so. Okay. So one more time, although he's obligated to bench, if it is not possible for him to bypass the uncertainty by employing one of the suggestions, discussed section F, he should do so. Okay, so we're going to discuss what it says in section F. Let me see how much if we can finish it today. Okay, so let's try. So second situation, right? When a person was not satiated. When one eats a meal and is not satiated, his obligation to bench is midrabanan, as we said before, meaning rabbinical. Therefore, if he cannot remember whether or not he benched, we adopt the lenient position and do not require him to bench. That's it, straightforward, right? And plus, we say even if he is not allowed to bench. Since the halacha does not require him to bench, one does not have to inconvenience himself by trying to bypass the uncertainty, right? So meaning, do not try to eat another piece of bread or ask somebody else to include him in the benching. Okay. So one does not have the inconvenience to inconvenience himself by trying to bypass the uncertainty. The Paskim advise, however, that Yirei Shamayim should try to bypass the doubtful situation by employing one of the suggestions discussed below in section F. Okay. right? So God-fearing person, he's not going to be satisfied with the minimum, right? So he will try to resolve the situation. As we said, there is always, not always, but many times there is solution. Okay. Next one, C. Not sure if satiated. So first one was he satiated. B was not satiated. Here, not sure. If he's unsure as to whether or not he was satiated, he is not required to bench. In this case, also Yirei Shamayim, so God-fearing person, should try to use one of the alternatives discussed below. Okay. Okay, continue. Scenario number 2, problem. Does not know if he ate kizayis. If he ate a meal and does not know whether or not he ate kizayis or bread, even if he was satiated, nevertheless, he should not bench. Commentary. Some poskim rule that if he was satiated, he should bench. Okay, but generally accepted custom do not bench. So technically, if he ate kizayis, as we said, kizayis does not cover all other foods, right? So he would say after blessing anyway, right? So being satiated from other foods, if does not show if he ate kizayis, that's a problem basically, right? So we say do not bench, but say blessing after other foods. So one more time. Even if he was satiated, nevertheless, he should not bench, but rather should employ one of the suggestions listed in section F below. Okay, so we're going to get to this section F. Okay. Similarly, if he knows that he ate kizayis but does not know whether or not because ate kizayis within kidei hilas pras, he should not bench, but rather employ one of the suggestions listed below. Okay, so it could be two different scenarios. One, if he is not sure if he ate kizayis, meaning this 1 ounce, approximately 28 grams, or second one, if he ate this kizayis in a proper amount of time. So kidei hilas pras, as we said, the proper way is from 2 to 3 minutes, but maximum up to 9 minutes. So he must finish this kizayis in this period of time. Of course, it's very simple to finish even under 1 minute, but just so you know. Continue. Number 3, problem. So problem, what a woman cannot remember if she benched. If she ate bread and afterwards cannot remember whether or not she benched. There is a difference of the opinion among the Rishonim as to whether or not the woman's obligation to bench, whether she's satiated, is midaraisa. Okay, so for men, for sure, it's midaraisa, biblical. For women, it's doubtful if it's on a biblical level or rabbinical level. According to some poskim, a woman who was satiated and is uncertain if she benched is required to bench again. Other poskim of the opinion that she is not required to bench again. So we're talking about she is satiated and does not remember. So some say repeat it, some say do not repeat it. Okay, so what should we do? One who wishes to follow the most stringent view and bench again may do so. See footnote. So let's see. Footnote. Hagon, Rav Moshe Shlomo Zalman Arba Zatzal rules that women should follow the most stringent view. There is in instances that a man is required to bench again, a woman must also bench again. Okay, so you have this strong halakhic authorities to rely upon. So if woman was satiated, for sure, so it's one requirement, and she does not remember whether or not she benched, right? Say Birkat Hamazon, so just say Birkat Hamazon. Number 4 problem. Child cannot remember if he benched. Okay, if child ate bread and was satiated and afterwards cannot remember whether or not he benched, A child obligation is midrabanan for sure. It's not there for sure. It's midrabanan, and therefore technically he should not have bench again, right? So for sure not. However, since the adult in this situation must bench again, we require to instruct child to bench again. So technically not. Since it's midrabanan and he's still not obligated in mitzvahs, but we try to train children in early age. I mean, if you start when this child is 13, guess what? It's you created disaster with your own hands. Any questions on what we said? Okay, no problem. Then we continue. So now we got to this famous section. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. No problem, no
problem. When we finish eating a meal together as like a, our family, does everybody have to say Birkat Hamazon to them, each individual, or does one person say it for everybody? And do we have to wait till everybody completely finishes the meal?
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's a good question. So let's start answering in parts, right? So the first part would depend if you have 3 males, right, above 13 years old, right? So if you have three males, right, so you have to combine in benching for sure. Then you obligated for sure to wait, and or they can stop eating and answer you, well, whatever in appropriate places, right? Respond, and then that person can continue eating. So two people can make one stop his meal and join with blessing with them. So it's one situation, right? But let's say there are no 3 adult males, right? Right. So in this case, you can bench as the whole family, right? So let's say somebody is going to lead, but everybody have to read for themselves, of course, right? Right. Even like after the fact, one person can include other people, but today we have custom that everybody reads for themselves. Well, let's say it's a father and his wife, his wife, and three children, right? So okay. So I mean, the proper way is to do everything together, of course, but it's not obligated. So let's say child finished eating the bread and he wants to go play. Okay, so let him say Birkas Hamazon and let him go play. He's not obligated to wait until you finish. So you want to like relax and maybe to spend another 15-20 minutes extra. You understand? So the answer is you're not obligated to wait for everybody to finish unless you need to join in blessing for 3 men or 10 men. All right. Join the blessing above the 3 men, right? 3 or 3 plus men. Are we clear? You're good? Okay. Any other questions?
Here.
Okay.
So Bentch is only for the concluding blessing or for the Bracha Rishona also?
I said this when we send Bentching, right? So let's say I don't want to overcomplicate the answer, but let's say we go with straightforward scenario. Straightforward scenario that he ate 2 kizesim, meaning 56 grams of bread, and ate all of the other foods, whatever, dessert, ice cream, fish, salad, soup. Okay, so everything is covered. So he said Birkas Hamazon, and everything is covered by this blessing. You understand? But if he ate less than that, so it's questionable if this bread actually covered other foods. But if he ate only 1 kizai, so we go by that opinion. If he ate only 1 kizai, less than 2 kizaisim, 1 kizais, right? So he must make a blessing on all other foods. Like let's say on soup, he makes a different blessing. On potatoes, he makes a different blessing. Let's say, right? So he would say Birkas Hamazon and separate blessings on potatoes. You understand? Because they're not covered. It's like he did not eat sufficient bread. He ate sufficient bread to say Birkas Hamazon, but not sufficiently for bread to cover other foods. I hope I did not confuse you.
No, it's good.
Okay. Any other questions, or we continue? Okay, so we got to section A. So the F, I'm sorry. So and the topic is suggestions. When one is unclear and uncertain as to whether or not he is obligated to bench, see previous section. Okay, all of these scenarios. It is preferable to bypass the uncertainty by employing one of the following suggestions. So as we said, okay, we do not deny that he's in a difficult situation, and we cannot allow him just on one hand, just to go free and not to say the blessing. On another hand, I mean, he's not allowed to say the blessing. Okay, so what do we do? Scenario number one. Eat another kizayis of bread. That's it. Okay, he ate another kizayis, she ate another kizayis, and now they're obligated to bench. Eating another kizayis of bread will bypass any uncertainty involving Birkas Hamazon. Period. Right? Very simple. As we said, even in another place. Commentary. Regarding making hamotzi, if he had chesach das, he must make hamotzi before eating kizayis of bread. This subject is explained in detail in chapter 8. We're going to explain. Let me finish, and we're going to explain. In the case discussed above, if one was in doubt as to whether or not he benched, it is considered as he had the chesed das. Accordingly, in this type of situation, he must make hamotzi prior to eating kizayis of bread. So here's so what they're saying here. Situation when we know when our meal starts, or our meal, even apple, when we eat apple, and we must know when it finishes, right? So, and one of the things that we know that we finished. So he said, okay, that's it. He pushed away a plate. I'm not going to eat again. I'm finished. So, or during Birkas Hamazon, he said, let's bench. Let's say Birkas Hamazon. So meaning what? That he's prepared to Birkas Hamazon. So if he changed his mind and he wants to eat now again, he has to say hamotzi again, right? Or if what would be another example? 1 second. He decided not to eat. Let's say we're going to, okay, we finish, and then his friend came and said, no, where are you going? Let's eat with me. Okay, and now he changed his mind. So every time you change your mind, you said, I'm not going to eat, right? So you have to say the blessing on the bread again. Okay. So meaning what? That his initial eating session was terminated, and even though he has time to say Birkas Hamazon, he's not allowed to eat any other food. Okay, so let's read the sentence again. Eating another kizayis of bread will bypass any uncertainty involving Birkas Hamazon. Okay. Having eaten bread, even if he had already discharged his original obligation, he must nevertheless bench again. Okay, so let's say, so we're talking about different cases of doubt. Maybe he said original Birkas Hamazon, maybe not. So, but if he's going to eat this kizayis of bread, for sure, as we said, for sure after this kizayis, he has to make a blessing. But when he's going to make the blessing after this extra kizayis, he would have in mind, okay, if I did not say original blessing after my first meal, after I ate bread, this Birkas Hamazon should include that also. If I did say the blessing, I just don't remember. So I say, okay, let's not include. And this Birkas Hamazon is only for this kizayis. So basically, this win-win situation, whatever this rabbi offers us you're not going to transgress going by this approach. when you eat extra kizayis. So number 2, ask someone to motzi him, to be motzi him. It is, if it's not possible to eat another kizayis of bread, and there is someone else present who had eaten bread, at least one kizayis of bread, he should ask the person to motzi him. So motzi means to discharge his obligation. So I can ask another male, another Jew, to, if he has to say Birkas Hamazon, to include me, to keep me in mind. So it could be for any other blessings also. If I ate banana, I don't remember, I said blessing, I did not say blessing, and now he finished drinking, whatever he was finished drinking, apple juice, and he wants to say blessing after apple juice. I say, you know what, please keep me in mind, because I'm not sure about this banana. So that's a second solution, also very clear. But on one hand it's clear, but on the other hand it's not so clear. Okay, and one more thing on another page, it was actually continuation of that blessing. So he would be required to say, to say hamotzi, plus he would need to wash his hands again. Right? So I'll need to last your time. Wash his hands again with a blessing. Continue, because it's like separate meal, has nothing to do with what was before. Continue. The person benching must have specific intent to discharge the obligation of the listener. There is to be motzi him, and the listener is required to hear every word of the benching, and also must have specific intent to have his obligation discharged. There is to be yotzi. So he is motzi me, and I be yotzi by him. The following delineates who can motzi others. So this halachic tool, when other people can include somebody else in their blessing, it must be two ways. So he must know exactly what he's doing, meaning he must have in his mind to include me, and I must in my mind to want to be included in this blessing. So it has to be explicit. It's not like I thought that you knew. So it's not going to work in this way. Continue. So now we're going to different scenarios. A man. A male over the age of 13 who is physically mature may be motzi other adult men, adult women, and children. Commentary. Even if he's the adult, this adult male being motzi, obligation was not midaraisa. He was not satiated, and the listener obligation, it was midaraisa. They are nevertheless yotzi with his recital. If it is possible to hear benching from a person who was satiated, it is preferable to do so. So it's very interesting comment. They say, okay, let's say this boy, 13 years old boy, right? He ate, but he was not satiated, right? So his level is on a rabbinical level, but I was satiated, right? I don't remember, but I remember that, I mean, if I said Birkas Hamazon or not, but let's say I remember that I was satiated, right? So even in this case, he can include me, even though he's, it's all because of the doubt, right? Because of the doubt, so we can allow this leniency. His level is rabbinical, my level is biblical, right? But because of the doubt, they even out the levels. So if you have other option to ask a adult male who was satiated, that's what I must do. Otherwise, I can go with this boy, with this boy blessing. Continue. B, women. A female over the age of 12 who is physically mature may be motzi other women or children, right? She may also motzi a man whose obligation to bench is not midaraisa. That is, he was not satiated, right? So a woman in this case, so her level is according to majority of the paskim, her level is biblical, is rabbinical level. So if I did not eat to satiation, just eat a little, So my obligation is also rabbinical. So we on the same level. So she can include me. A woman should not motzi man with obligation to Bentch midaraisa. Okay, so if everybody is satiated, so a woman cannot include men. Of course, I mean, if he's sick, her husband is sick, and she's the only person who knows how to say, that's a different story. But in a straightforward way, so she can only include somebody who is on the same level. Okay. See child. A boy under the age of 13 and a girl under the age of 12 may not motzi adult men or women. They may, however, motzi other children. So children can motzi children, so they can include them. Commentary. A boy over the age of 13 and a girl over the age of 12 who are physically mature may also not motzi adults. See previous paragraph. Who is physically immature. So I don't want to go into this subject though, but basically they have to be like physically developed, right? So physically developed, and only then they consider to be adults. So if we know that they're not physically developed, then they cannot include others. Meaning even if they by age, let's say this boy is over 13 years old, but he's not physically developed, whatever halachically it means. So then he cannot include the adult men or women, maybe. Okay. So so we finish here. The last piece. It says another suggestion. Another suggestion is offered in a footnote below. For instances when one cannot utilize either of the suggestions discussed above. Okay, so that's very sad, but let's see what is the footnote. So it says, if one cannot utilize any of the alternatives discussed above, he can, according to many paskim, bypass the doubt by formulating the bracha in his mind without reciting the word. So it's the last resort. So he can maybe read, right? But do not say that out loud for sure. According to this opinion, although one may not make a bracha without expressing the words, it is nevertheless valid after the fact. So some people, some great rabbis say, so even if a person that thought about the blessing or even Shema, right? So after the fact, it's like he said the Shema. So like he was in the hospital with all the tubes sticking from his chest, right? Okay, so after the fact, of course, he's allowed, but in all of this situation, not in this, but in others, they say it's proper to after he can speak, so he must say it out loud, because not everybody agree. But after the fact, we can employ this suggestion. Therefore, if Bentching was required, he is yotze, right? Even if he just formulated in his head without saying out loud. If the Bentching was not required, by not reciting Hashem's name audibly, like out loud, he is not considered bracha levatala. So bracha levatala is only like it's a vain blessing, but blessing can wane only if he said or she said it out loud. So we can stop here. So any questions? Please go ahead. It could be any topic. Go ahead.
Of the topic here.
Go ahead.
So maybe first over this same topic can be why some fruits from trees are treated like fruit from the ground, like banana.
Oh, okay. So yeah, but banana is and pineapple. So because they're not. I start from different directions. So I give you the definition of the tree. So the tree is something that grows from the ground and brings the fruits on the same branches every year. It can have different branches, new branches, but at least on the same branches every year. So the shrub, like I don't know, like a blueberry, like higher, like not next to the ground, would be chodama. Chaetz would be fruit of the tree, right? and apples, pears, all of these things, right? But the palm tree, it's always grows from inside. So it's always the new harvest comes from new branches. You understand? So new branches mean that it's not a tree. It's like a root that continues to grow. That's why we say it's same as a strawberry, same on bananas, fruit of the ground.
Then another topic.
Okay, go ahead. I have 6 minutes. I have next class.
So in the Messianic age, which age will be the people who are going to resurrect?
Or who are the people who are going to resurrect during the Messianic age?
Yeah, I mean, which opinions are there about the age will they have, and if they will age, will they be immortal? The health status of the people who are resurrected.
Okay, so I give you So here I give you two answers. So first is the answer to whatever you ask, and the second is our approach to this. So there's the first the answer to what you asked. First, all of these people who in Gan Eden now, all the souls that are in Gan Eden, so they're going to get resurrected, right? And so many people have different reincarnations while here, right? So even though some reincarnation, they're wicked, they went to Gehinnom forever and ever and ever. But maybe some parts, like some resurrection was not so bad, and that person deserved the resurrection. You understand? So one part of the soul could go to Gehinnom, and one part can resurrect. So when Mashiach comes, there is a verse that says that everybody should die. So then even people living at that time, they're going to die momentarily, and then Hashem is going to revive them. And so it's going to be the world for next 1,000 years, I guess. What is going to happen after 1,000 years, I do not know. Right? That's to be seen. But technically, that's short answer. But the main answer, so we should not worry about the days of Mashiach, right? How it's going to happen. We must worry what is going to happen to us. Are we going to be on a side where 2/3 of the world that's going to perish, or are we going to survive? So, and in order to survive, we don't need to know all of the details. By the way, in a class before that, I was learning about details, but not because I wanted it. It's a war, Gog and Magog. We're learning the Yecheskel, and we're going through, in that class, we're going through all of the novice, and it's chapter, I think, 38. So it's chapter 37, 38 talks about Gog and Magog, but it's not like, I mean, we did not delve into it. I mean, the details are irrelevant. What relevant is what is going to happen to us. Are we going to be righteous? That yes, it's going to be a good time. We're going to enjoy. If not, I mean, who cares, basically, right? We have to always make our priorities straight. Priority is to be a righteous person, is Hashem. Okay. Any other questions? Go ahead. Okay, if not, so we can stop here. Bezos Hashem, and continue next week, I guess, same time we can do. So Monday, I think it's the day off, but in Torah, we don't have day offs. Thank you. Good night. Shabbos, all the best. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, good night. Bye-bye.